Hello friends, welcome back to automationtestinginsider.com. So in the last video we talked about an introduction to TestNG, and we have seen how to install TestNG, like how to install the plugins of TestNG, and we have written a simple script using TestNG, and we have used different annotations, or I would say few of the annotations we have used, like before test, after test, and we have created a test method, okay, using annotation @test. So this is simple script which we have written in the last session to launch the browser, and here we have written one test case like to get the title of the page, and at last we close the browser. Okay, so this is simple script. Now today we'll discuss the second part of TestNG framework, where we'll discuss different annotations available in TestNG, and these are the important annotations, or I would say mandatory annotations. So different, if you talk about the real-time projects, so the projects may differ in terms of requirements, but execution will be the same. Like we need all these annotations to run a project. Okay, so we'll discuss about different annotations today. Like here I have listed down before suite, after suite, before test, after test. Okay, so these are the different annotations we'll discuss in detail, and I'll create simple program to understand what is the hierarchy of the execution hierarchy of all these annotations. Okay, so let's get started with before suite. So this annotated method will run only once before all tests in the suite. Okay, so let me show you one XML file, testng.xml, which is there in my previous framework. So here we have system test ng, system testng.xml. So what it says, the annotated method will be run only once before all tests in this suite have run. So take an example of this testng.xml. Here we have suite tag and it is ending here. Okay, so suite is nothing but the collection of different tests. So this is a test tag. So we may have this is one test right now. We may have some other test as well. So this suite, this before suite will execute the method associated with before suite will execute only once before this suite only. Okay, take an example of this suite, automation test suite. So if you use before suite method, okay, so it will be executed first here, and after the execution of this suite, after suite will execute. Okay, this is another annotation after suite. Okay, so take an example, if you have multiple tests inside this suite, this is one test. And take an example, if you have another suite, even though it will execute only once, the before suite will execute only once, and after the execution of this test, and if you have another test after that only, once this suite will complete, then only will get this after suite will be executed. Okay, if you have some more suites, okay, take an example, this is one suite, and if you have one more suite like automation test suite, this is the one of the suites. Okay, in similar way, if you have another suite, then that method will be executed again. Okay, let's talk about before test. So this annotation method will be run before any test method belonging to the test classes inside test tag is run. So here we have test tag. Okay, so do not worry about this XML. So from next video onwards we'll discuss about test ng.xml, and we'll discuss about different annotation attributes as well. Okay, so let's talk about this before tests. Okay, so this annotated method will be run before any test method belonging to the classes inside test tag is run. Okay, so here we have only one test, right, WordPress application test. So that annotation method, this annotation before test will execute before this execution of this test. Okay, and after test will execute once this test is done, then after test will execute. Okay, let's talk about before class. So this annotated method will be run only once before the first test method in the current class is invoked. So here we have different classes in this classes tag. Okay, so before class means it will run before this class. Okay, and once it is done, then this method will be executed after class, and again for this class this before class will be executed. Similarly for the third test class, fourth test class, and fifth test class. So these are the different classes, okay, inside classes tag. So this is how before class and after class will be executed. We have before method. This annotation method will be run before each test method. Okay, so inside login page test we have different, take an example of this script where we have this test method, right? So similarly we may have some more test methods method here inside a simple inside a same class. Okay, this test 1, we may have test 2, test 3, like that. So before method will execute before each test method. Okay, and after method will execute after each test method. We have two more important annotations before groups. Okay, so here we have groups. If you see in this testng.xml, here we have groups. So we'll talk about groups later on in the next video. I'll show you, I'll create a complete testng program where we'll discuss using testng xml will execute, and where we'll create there I'll create suite test groups and all. Okay, there we'll discuss before groups and after groups. So this is the hierarchy of testng annotations execution. Okay, the one which we have discussed earlier, these are the different annotations, and this is the hierarchy. So here you can see before suite will be executed at top. Okay, after that before test, before class, before method, and after suite will be executed once this suite is done, and then only it will be executed at last after suite. Okay, so I'll create a simple program where we'll understand all these annotations, how the execution sequence. Okay, so in the last video I have created testng framework. There I'll create, we have package called com.testng package. Here I'll create new class, annotation execution. And here what we'll do, we'll start. So the first annotation is before suite, so we'll write before suite like this, and we have to write method public void, let's say before suite method, and I'll create simple method only. Will the main purpose is to check the execution of all these annotations. Okay, so what I'll do, simply I'll print some statement here. Let's say before suite is executed, before suite is executed. Okay, let's say after suite, after that, after suite method, I have to change the annotation to after suite. We have to import after suite as well, and here I'll change it to after suite. So I'm just printing some statement. Simply copy paste this comment. What is next? Before suite, after suite, we have before test annotation. We have to import this. Once again, we have to write first public void method, and before test, and we have to import, sorry, we have to write some message over here. Before test is executed. Similarly, we have after test, after test annotation. Here I'll give after test annotation. We have to import after test from org.testng.annotations, and we have before class annotation, public void before class, I'll give message before class is executed. Simply I'll copy paste this one. After class, and we have to change this to after class. We have to import after class as well, and copy paste this one, this statement. Okay, so far we have got before suite, before test, before class. Let's cover before method and test as well. Okay, we have before method annotation. We'll write method public void before method, I'll give comment like before method is executed. Let's have after method. We have to import after method as well. Okay, so we are done before suite, after suite. Before suite is executed, after suite is executed, before test, after test, before class, after class, and before method, after method. Now here I'll write test, one test method, public void test method, and I'll give messages test method is executed. Okay, this test method, sorry, we should give like this: test method is executed. So we are done with our script, simple script. We have just given the comments like this: before suite is executed, after suite is executed, like this. Okay, so we have covered this hierarchy. Now let me run this, whether it will execute properly or not in the order which we have discussed. So here we are not automated any web page, so simply it runs very quickly. So here you can see test 1 run, failure 0, skip 0. So this is the sequence. You can see, one second, before suite is executed. Let's compare with our ppt. Before suite is executed, before test is executed, before class is executed, and here we have before method is executed. Okay, and after that this test method will be executed. So here you can see test method is executed. After that, after method, after class, after test, right? And at last, after running this test, after suite is executed. So this is the execution sequence. So we'll understand better when we in the next video, when we create a complete TestNG program, where we'll use TestNG XML. There you'll understand this better. Now let's do one thing. Let's have one more method, test method. So I'll copy paste this one. Let's say this is test method 1 and this is test method 2. Now we'll see how the execution will be. Okay, how the sequence will be. So let me just run, right click, TestNG, test. Now let's see the sequence. So here we have two test cases. Test method is nothing but the test cases. Okay, two test methods we have. So here you can see default test run 2, failure 0, skip 0, and yeah, this is the execution sequence. Before suite, so we have only one suite. Okay, I mean we don't have any suite here, but this is how the sequence will be. Sequence, if we use before suite annotation, before test, before class, before method, test method 1 is executed, and here you can see test before method is executed before the test method, and immediately after the test method, after method is executed. You can see for this one, and here you can see before method is again executed before the test method, before this test method 2, right? So this is what we discussed, right? Test method, before method and after method. So the annotation method will be run before each test method. So here you can see before test executed 2 times. So before method is executed 2 times, before this test method and before this test method. So once the method is executed, test method is executed, that after after method will be executed. So you can see before method, after method, before method, after method, and we have after class, after test, and at last we have after suite is executed. So this is how the sequence of TestNG annotations. And we'll discuss before groups and after groups going forward. And I have listed down few like different attributes in the annotation. Like we have description, timeout, priority, depends on, methods, enable, and groups. So these are the different attributes in the annotation. Okay, so in the next video we'll talk about how to create a full-fledged TestNG program script, and how to use other annotations, and how to create TestNG XML. Okay, so thank you guys for watching. Have a nice day. Bye bye.